What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Perfectly.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. Brand new laptop, so
It looks good, man.
just
Welcome
hoping
to.
it works right. So
No, it looks like it's working pretty well right now. Welcome to the
good.
eight. Welcome to the 801 podcast. It is your host Asif Ali. I am joined by my guest, Momentum Fitness Companies and Regain Your Momentum Energy Drink founder, Jason C Venckus. Jason, how you doing today?
As good as a Bears fan can be right now in Chicago after yesterday's game.
Man.
Scratching my head as to how we still have a head coach, but whatever.
Man, it's funny, obviously when I was living there a couple years ago or last year, because I moved out last year. I was living there for a couple years and I got to go to all the games at Soldier Field and I got to see kind of, the first installation of Nagy and Trubisky in 2017 and 18 or 18, I guess, right? Because that's when Nagy won Coach of the Year and they made the playoffs. Like you saw so much promise, you know what I mean? And then ever since it's just been like a completely down, just like a downhill like slope for like the whole program of the Bears. And I mean, obviously, Ryan Pace, you got to point the finger not just at Nagy and Trubisky, but also Pace, because Pace is the one who, made the personal decisions, So.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Man. So how you been? How's everything been going?
It's been an interesting year. I mean, I know it has for everybody, but overall, it's been all right. It's been pretty good. Working a little harder than we have in the past, just to kind of break even. So, but it is what it is this year, and everything seems to be trending in the right direction at least. So,
absolutely. Now let's go ahead and talk about that. So
okay.
Regain Your Momentum Fitness Companies. Tell me kind of where the origins were, how it came to formation or fruition, and how did it materialize. Kind of walk me through kind of the early beginnings of the company and kind of, how it became, or kind of the journey of how it matured to where it is today.
Okay. So Regain Sports Drink was kind of born out of necessity for me. I had a bad health history in the past, and then I kind of fixed my health. Became a personal trainer, started doing races, started with 5K, 10K, up to marathon, and eventually I was doing half Ironman. And that, before my daughter, got a little bit older. So not as much time for training anymore. But anyway, so for me personally, I was never one to really like things like Gatorade and Powerade. I started out with those things, but they would turn my stomach. If I grabbed the thing of Gatorade at mile 20 on a marathon, I'm almost throwing it up.
Yeah.
I also wasn't a big fan. I wanted to go the more natural route with my diet and everything that I was doing. So I ended up, starting to drink coconut water, and I didn't like it at first. I'm like, it just didn't taste right to me. So I ended up mixing it with a little bit of tart cherry juice, and this was all for personal use.
Right.
Because when you're doing these half Ironmans, they're not in the spring when it's a little bit cooler out, because you need the water to be warm, and they're not in the fall either. So it's hot out. So that bike and that swim that bike and that run can be very, very brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed something different, something natural. So I was mixing the tart cherry and the coconut water together. And it was okay. I was using tart cherry concentrate, so it was a little bit higher in sugar than I wanted it to be. But someone they're like, what are you drinking? And I told them, they're like, well, let me try that. I'm like, if you tweak this a little bit, I bet you could, turn it into a product, and sell it. So I'm like, well, all right. And I kind of sat on it for a couple of years. I had become a personal trainer. I picked up a fitness nutrition specialist certification. And that is kind of like as when I really started to really research like hydration and electrolyte balance and all this stuff. And I really realized that I could probably make a sports drink that didn't contain chemical preservatives, colors, flavors, dyes, any of that stuff. No added sugar, no sugar substitutes. And make a product that would be completely, natural. As opposed to having, your red dye number 50 in it, or, your blue 6 and yellow lake and this and that. So that kind of became the goal, was to create this natural sports drink, um, and it still tastes good,
Yeah.
and using things as natural preservatives. So started tweaking with the recipe, adding lime and lemon juice to it separately. We ended up with two different flavors and a little pinch of pink Himalayan salt. So that kind of like became the two different formulas for Regain. And they're just taste testing it. You were one of the first people to taste test it a
I was
few
about
years
to
ago.
say, that was my first ever. For my listeners and viewers who don't know this, Jason was the first product endorsement I've ever done, and you can see that video on my Instagram or my YouTube. So I'm great. I'm extremely grateful for that. Keep going.
Yeah, it was just a weird thing. Somebody had set me up with, and it was weird because I wasn't there for your team.
Right.
You just happened to be there. You look like a pretty outgoing person, so I kind of grabbed you and pulled you over and had you try it. Yeah, and the taste testing all went very, very, very well. And the one thing that people are saying is it has a very, very clean taste, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted, was a very, very clean taste. Now, so and that's what we get from a lot of people. Even a lot of people who don't like coconut water in general,
Yeah.
still tend to like this drink because it is flavored with the tart cherry and
Mhm.
with the lime or the lemon, and you know it's that clean taste, that clean feeling that people get too, that you don't get from things like Gatorade and Powerade because the amount of sugar that's in it.
Yeah.
So in that's kind of how things got started, and then it's been kind of snowballing from there to minor production. I mean, we're still kind of minor production, but I mean, like, where I was like, I was selling like a couple cases a month, because people wanted to try it. And now it's like, we're selling 100 to 200 bottles a month now.
That's
And that's
pretty.
just from small events.
Yeah.
Again, we're not in stores. We
Right.
are local to Chicago. Part of that is the process, and part of our green mission is why we're only in Chicago at the moment. Um, but just doing these small events, obviously this year we didn't get any of the big events.
Mhm.
I Other than Golden Gloves, Chicago. I know you got a boxing glove back there. This last year
Floyd
I
Mayweather.
sponsored.
Floyd Mayweather signed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, um, we had sponsored Chicago Golden Gloves this year. That was back in February. We were there for the weigh-in. And then everything got shut down due to COVID. All the sanctions got pulled for all the fights.
Man.
So I had different gyms that I was lined up to go appear at, and they're like, obviously can't go in. They were shut down for a while, and even now still, people are like, nah, they don't really want people coming in, don't
Right.
feel comfortable taste testing something, because
Right.
you've got
Right.
your hands on it, gloves or mask not. So we've just been doing little outdoor events, little run groups that are outdoors, stuff like that, and it's sustained us through the year, and it's allowed me to continue to do a lot of R&D, a lot of product development, so that when we're ready to get into stores, we're certified, or I'm certified for direct sales, but
Yeah.
I'm not certified for wholesale yet.
Mhm.
So it we're doing enough to get ourselves ready for when things return to that, quote unquote normal.
Normalcy. Exactly. Status quo. Whatever
Mhm.
that means.
Yeah.
and so to the listeners out there who don't really understand the context of kind of the history of my endorsement for Regain Momentum, when I was in Chicago for a few years, basically I started my own. I was a coach and the owner of my own football team, semi-pro football team, the Illinois Carnage. We'd run a joint practice around December with the Illinois Renegades, and Jason was there with the Regain Momentum. He was out there with a cooler, basically just handing out samples to athletes, and basically had a camera and a phone, just saying, hey, yeah, would you be willing to, try this and let me know what you think, and if you like it, can you, go on record and say, hey, like, I'm willing to, yeah, vouch for Regain Your Momentum. And I actually loved it because I believe it was the black cherry. Which one was it? It was cherry limeade. Which one was the one I had?
The cherry limeade is the one that has the pop to it.
That's the one. Yeah.
I had a boxer over at Sam Colonna's gym. He was I went there probably a few weeks after I was at the football stadium there, the indoor place.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, the lime has got more pop to it, and the
Right.
lemon is a little bit more smoother. And I'm like, I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna use that because I couldn't really describe it because it is the lime does it has a little more pop, a little more like zing to it, which I find more refreshing after a good sweat. Whether it's a run for me, whether it's a run or a lift or whatnot, I find that the limeade is really, really refreshing and tastes fantastic, after that. The lemon I like more for like if I just need something in the morning because maybe I didn't drink enough water or anything the day before I get into coffee for the day. Because the lemon is a little bit of a smoother taste. So, and to be honest, like I sell like 50-50 on it. For a while, the limeade was selling more, and like then the lemonade was selling more, and now it's kind of like 50-50 again. Um, so yeah, and when you checked this out, it was a very raw setup. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I had things in those little those jug coolers where you push the button.
Exactly. That's what you had. The cooler. I remember that.
I don't think I didn't have the bottles yet, because now we bottle, we have a 16-ounce bottle, and we bottle in glass, because we have
Impressive.
a return policy.
Yeah.
I like to get my bottles back.
Yeah.
So when people return the bottles, I can double sterilize them, wash them, and reuse them again, and it keeps them out of the landfill,
Yeah.
and also less energy to create new bottles. So, and then I end up, giving a discount for people on their next purchase when they return bottles. So we've got that green mission on top of everything, being natural. And we just actually switched our coconut water, and now everything, it's 99.99% organic. Um, so, uh, so that was something we were striving towards. Didn't think I'd reach it as soon as I did, but yeah, so it's 100% non-GMO. The only thing that's not organic is the tiny pinch of pink Himalayan salt. And the reason that's in there is it brings up the sodium content to where it needs to be,
Yeah.
uh, to have a complete electrolyte profile.
Pretty much.
Uh, you'll see with Gatorade, Powerade, stuff like that, you're going to see a lot of sodium in there and a lot of sugar. But the one thing you're not going to see a lot of, and this is really the big difference, is you're not going to see the potassium.
Yeah.
Always talk about potassium as like the major electrolyte that you need to replace.
Yeah.
Potassium and sodium, those are the major two.
Correct.
But with a 16-ounce bottle of Regain, with the new formula, you're going to get over 1,000 milligrams of
1,000.
potassium.
Okay.
And what people don't, they're like, oh, isn't that a lot? No. The average person, the non-athlete, needs 4,700 milligrams of potassium per day.
Mhm.
And something like Gatorade with 16 ounces of Gatorade, you're only going to get about 65 milligrams of potassium. That's not even enough for like a person who's not like working out or an athlete.
Right.
So that's the major difference. So sometimes I go on the attack with Regain and Powerade a little bit about that, but you get 12 times the amount of potassium, which we need. So, and then the sodium content, like I said, the sodium content's about the same as you get in a Gatorade and Powerade, but you're also going to get more phosphorus, more calcium, and magnesium, which are all your major electrolytes.
So that's a distinct chemical advantage, I guess, or kind of not chemical, but more like mineral and vitamin type of advantage that you have over Powerade and Gatorade. And I guess kind of, the thing is obviously for me, when I sweat, I want to replenish all the potassium and all the sodium because for muscle recovery, I mean, any athlete, or anyone knows physiology knows this. When your muscle fibers tear, you need to, they need to lengthen, right? The quicker you replenish your sodium, the quicker you replenish your potassium, the faster they lengthen, right? So
Yep.
obviously, for me, obviously that's why I prefer something like which was your product, the Regain product, because it's basically killing two birds with one stone, as opposed to
Yep.
kind of Gatorade, which is just replacing sodium, or Powerade, which is replacing whatever, I don't know, potassium, whatever the fuck it replaces. So I
Yep.
think that's an important call out.
Yeah, and actually, you can kill three birds with one stone because the tart cherry juice actually helps reduce oxidative stress, muscle soreness, and muscle damage as well.
Right.
There was a 2010 study in, I believe it was the New England Journal of Medicine. I can't remember where exactly now, but and it stated basically that tart cherry juice will help reduce oxidative stress, muscle soreness. So that's another reason that it's in there as well. Um, so you're gonna get that as well, which is a nice little benefit. And then it also has a little bit of natural melatonin. So for people who have a hard time falling asleep after a workout, it's going to help relax them a little bit, bring that heart rate down and get them to relax and maybe, help them, fall asleep. For those who try to get that workout in late at night, but then can't fall asleep.
And it seems like there isn't any health hazards associated with that because actually when Lofa Tatupu was on our guest on Thursday, he was talking about zoning CBD, and zoning CBD, like the most that can happen, because there's a lot of misconception associated with CBD. The fact that you have zoning CBD, if you overdose on CBD, there's no such thing as overdosing, right? All you do is basically get sleepier and you'll sleep better. And it
Yeah,
seems like kind of what I'm hearing from you is the same thing. You'll basically, there's no such thing as ODing on like potassium, I mean, or sodium, or
it's
being
going to
able
be
to.
hard.
It's really hard, right? And so obviously,
Yeah,
with your drink, it will just help you. It'll just augment or optimize your performance in all different facets. Is what I'm gathering.
absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And and then the thing too, I don't want to like mislead people. I say I don't add any sugar. It doesn't mean that it's sugar free.
Right.
But it is 1/3 less sugar than Gatorade and Powerade,
Mhm.
and in half the sugar of Body Armor. I love that Body Armor does the natural thing, and they don't use any chemical preservatives and stuff too. But they use a coconut water concentrate, and when you use a concentrate of any kind of juice, you have to add sugar to it.
Mm.
So then Body Armor ends up being the highest sugar sports drink that's out there. I mean, they
Right.
do use organic cane sugar, um, but again, it's still a lot of sugar. So again, with us not adding any, we actually come in at about half that because of the natural sugars from the coconut water and the juices and stuff like that. So and it's been an interesting process. Regain is actually trademarked. Regain Sports Drink is actually trademark, registered trademark. That was a pain and
Oh,
expensive,
yeah.
especially when you get challenged.
Right.
My trademark got challenged by a company that, I don't know, the first three letters of their name was the same, but the rest was completely different. I ended up having to settle with them, so I had to pay my lawyer more money just to settle
Wow.
and say, okay, I won't use the Regain logo for just a plain juice. Or the other one was juice with alcohol. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
Pain in the ass.
So yeah, it's and I was on a podcast yesterday, um, with a boxer, and he was asking me about what are the obstacles, and it's just like it's you get past one obstacle and bam, there's another one. Oh wait, you're doing this, by the way, you need this certification, or you need this license, or you need it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. It's like, even just to do a farmer's market, like if I want to sell this at a farmer's market next year, which I'm thinking about, it's like you have to get another certification just for farmers markets.
That's
And
insane.
if I was producing, actually, I'm outside of the city of Chicago where I produce it, but if I was in the city, there's extra fees for certified kitchens that
Really?
you have to pay if you're in the city, that the rest of Cook County does not have to pay.
Because the
So
city has an additional tax levied for any type of producers or small businesses that
yep.
kind of run. Yeah.
Yeah, which really stinks because there's this really cool facility called the Hatchery.
Yeah.
It's in like it's right around the Wandale area. Not a very it actually, Wandale is actually starting to brighten up a little bit, but not a very high income area.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, so it's there because they want to help some of these they want to help people, produce their own products, and they want to do it as cheaply as possible to help out these, lower income entrepreneurs.
Right.
You know, but it stinks just because if you want to use their kitchens, you got to pay an extra, I think it's like $400 or $500 a year to the city of Chicago, as
Like,
opposed to the rest of Cook County.
yeah.
You know, Chicago operates completely separate from the rest of the state of Illinois and the rest of Cook County. So, you know, not to get into a political discussion here, but
No, go ahead. Absolutely. No, that's actually part of the reason why I moved out of the city to Deerfield. When we'd met, I was actually living in Deerfield. I still have my
okay,
condo in the city, but I'm looking to probably sell. I have an offer now, so I'm looking to probably get settled. Or I mean, just sell it, for the offer, and then pretty much just cut my loss. Because to your point, obviously the city taxes are like 9.75% just addition on top of the the Cook County tax. And for anyone
Yeah.
here who's not, who obviously I have listeners all over, so anyone who's listening who's not familiar with kind of the state of Illinois, Chicago, I mean, this is just my own opinion, not Jason's or anything we're getting. This is my own opinion because it's my podcast, so fuck it, I'm gonna say what I want to say. But the politicians over there are super corrupt. I mean, when I started my first job, actually at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, a couple of 6 7 months before I started playing for the Falcons, and then starting my own team 6 months after that. Basically, our SVP of privacy and compliance actually worked for Mullen. Yeah, Mullen. Mullen when Mullen was commissioner of Chicago. And basically, he said, "Hey, Mullen, I found." He had a joke. He's like, "Hey, Mullen, I found some corruption from local politicians." Mullen looks at him and he scoffs. He's like, Chicago corruption. It's like shooting fish in a barrel." And I
Yeah.
mean, and so obviously, I mean, we're not getting too political. We're just saying, like, corruption is just a muck, and obviously the politicians are the ones who reap the benefits of, levying taxes and stuff like that. I remember when I was living there, I had to drive and on fucking Lakeshore, and there's potholes everywhere, and they still didn't repair it till like after like the year after right when I'm about to leave the city anyway. So I'm just like, okay, what was the point of waiting this long? I mean, like, so anyhow, different discussion for a different day. But obviously,
Yeah. Right.
yeah, yeah, good.
No, so yeah, I mean, like I said, we are keeping it local, and if people are looking for it, I am definitely looking at. I guess my goal right now is to get with some athletes again. I've been hanging around a lot of the boxers. My
Huh?
brother is a boxing trainer.
Nice.
He trains out of Sam Colonna's place, and he does some stuff on his own. He was with David Diaz, but that David Diaz's stuff is run out of the Park District, so he had to. All the Park District stuff is shut down.
Got it.
It was kind of cool to meet Sam and to meet David Diaz and stuff like that. But again, just trying to get around and get out to some of the other athletes and stuff in the area. It's been a little bit difficult lately, but just kind of looking to get it out to them. I've gotten it out to cyclists. There's an MMA fighter in like the Rockford area that tried it, liked it. We were talking about uh, some kind of sponsorship or something like that. Kind of fell through.
Yeah.
He was kind of a loose cannon.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know if I can attach my name to this guy, but
Yeah, happens.
yeah. So I mean, if people are looking for it, again, we can't sell it over the internet either.
Right.
Basically, I can sell it over the phone, but not the internet.
Sure.
But I do deliveries, in the Chicago area. But if you go to Regain Sports Drink, pretty simple.com. That's pretty much where you'll find it. RegainSportsDrink.com, Regain Sports Drink on Instagram, Regain Sports Drink on Facebook. It's all nice and uniform.
Yeah.
At the advice of a friend of mine. What's kind of nice now, and I know this is a podcast with no visuals, but you can see. I don't know. Well, you've seen it because I've sent you pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I should have grabbed the old logo, but I mean, like,
No, that's the new logo. That's the cover of the podcast right there. The Regain
yeah,
Moment. And I'll probably post a snippet of this on my IG, like I do with most other episodes with his visuals. So I
okay,
mean, yeah.
cool.
So I mean, yeah, that's a really nice design, really nice brand. Look at that. Regain
Yeah,
Your
hey,
Momentum. It has all the different flavors. Go ahead. Sorry, you can explain it.
no, go ahead. Going with the label, I mean, just explaining about the label, I actually had like 6 or 7 different designs that were given to me by very talented artists. 6 of them were really good, and the last one was terrible. But the reason the last one was terrible was because it was my idea. And when we put this out there, there were some designs that were darker and this and that, but everyone's like, no, you got to go with that label, with this white label, because you're trying to tell people that your product is pure.
Yeah.
And what says pure more than white? So,
Right.
Again, it's a beautiful design, and I can't say enough about my friend Joe at Blue Nova Creative. He's done some work for some pretty big companies, including the Cubs, even though he's not a Cubs fan.
Okay.
But I mean, that was one of the things too. Is like just getting it out there that this is a pure product. You're gonna perform better because you're gonna get out what you put in, right?
Right.
So with this, we say Regain. The name of the company is the parent company for both my personal training and the food company is Momentum is the base.
Right.
So
Momentum
with
Fitness.
Regain, you regain your momentum. With Momentum Fitness, you find your momentum. So that's kind of how the taglines work, I guess. So just if you're looking for superior hydration and recovery, Regain is the way to go. So always willing to send out samples, especially if it's, more local. I have sent some stuff like out to New Mexico, South Carolina, but with it being bottled in glass, it's very expensive to ship.
I'm about to say, yeah, because the bottling is pretty much where the majority of the cost comes from, right? Because
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yep. Yeah, just getting the packaging cost down on the bottle itself is crazy. Getting the label down to a certain price point to where your product is profitable.
right.
Um, you know, but I'm hoping that maybe in a couple of years, maybe 2022, I'm planning a trip to Vegas again.
Okay.
And I would love to maybe start scouting
Yeah,
for a place to produce it in Vegas as well.
that'd be
Um,
great.
there's a lot of, since it trends well with boxers, Vegas is where all the boxing stuff happens. So
That's where I got that signed. That was signed
okay,
in
cool.
Vegas. That's where he lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually when I did the label release for the new label,
Mhm.
I was actually in front of the Bellagio fountain.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, and I
Okay.
was there in November,
Oh, wow.
and I stayed at the MGM Grand. And the day that I'm leaving to go back was the day of the press conference for Wilder Fury 2.
Oh,
And
how was
guess
that,
what?
man?
Guess what?
What?
I saw all the undercards for the press conference, but I had to catch my flight and I had to leave and I couldn't catch Wilder and Fury.
Oh, man. Now
I'm
I would
like,
just, yeah,
I'm
yep.
sitting there, I'm sitting out there waiting for the shuttle to the airport from the MGM Grand, and I'm like, oh man, tell me the shuttle's gonna be late. Tell me the shuttle's gonna be late. And I forgot who was all on the undercard, but I just remember seeing these people walk in. I'm like, this is pretty cool. Listening to one kid, this kid, he's 17. Get this, he's 17 years old. He's in Las Vegas. And what's he got to do while he's in Las Vegas? Homework.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not much he can do in Vegas at the age of 17 anyway, but still,
I know,
the
man.
fact that you're in Las Vegas and you got to do homework because you're 17. I mean, he was there to fight. And I forgot to follow up and see if he won his fight, um, but yeah, I mean, that would be the way for me to do it, to expand, is to go to different cities and like have, because with the bottle returns, I can't have just one central hub. Um,
Exactly.
you have to have a home base in each, major geographical area. Because I don't know if you're familiar with the Oberweis company, the milk company.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
So they do the same thing. They
Yeah.
bottle in glass,
Okay.
and you get, like, you do a deposit, so you can return the bottles, but all their stuff is very, very, very local. So
Right. Right.
basically trying to accomplish the same thing. So Chicago market for now, and then as soon as I can get back out to Vegas again and start looking around, start heading towards the West Coast as well. A little
Yeah.
closer to you.
Yes, sir. We're a little closer here. I mean, we'd love to welcome you, and I'm sure everyone who's listening here on the West Coast, obviously nationally, we have a national syndication, but anyone listening on the West Coast, we'd sure to love to try some Regain Your Momentum. I mean, Regain Sports Drink. So,
Yeah,
um, you
absolutely.
know,
I'd love to get them out there. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, okay. Once again, how would listeners find out more about Regain Your Momentum?
So if you're basically Regain Sports Drink, you type that in any browser, and all the social media is going to come up. The website's going to come up. Again, that's Regain Sports Drink, spelled normally. So regainsportsdrink.com, Regain Sports Drink on Instagram, Regain Sports Drink on Facebook. And I think you can do it on Twitter too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Twitter made it say Drink Regain for some reason, but if you type it in, you'll find it. Very, very active on social media. Just send us a personal message. It's always me on the other end. I am at the moment the only official. Actually, we don't officially have any employees, but
That's impressive.
yeah. I mean,
Very.
I'm president. Oh, I guess I'm president of the company, but no one's getting paid anything yet. But I'm always on the other end of it, and sometimes my father makes deliveries for me if I've got too much going on.
Right.
And I pay him with Cubs tickets. So
so your friend isn't a Cubs fan, but your dad is a Cubs fan, and you kind of incentivize him so that's
yeah,
awesome.
right. I
Yeah.
know what makes him tick. So, but yeah, is give me a shout, and we can get it to you. I know you've got a visor at least coming.
Yes,
Maybe I can
sir.
sneak maybe I can sneak a bottle in there with it.
Appreciate that.
Um, that'll go out probably Wednesday or Thursday. So
Sounds good. Yeah,
it'll
and
be coming
you'll
UPS, so it should come fast.
UPS. Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, once it gets in, I'll probably you'll see me be wearing the Regain visor on the podcast, and so anyone
Love it.
who follows us on YouTube, you'll be able to see that on future episodes. So, anything else? Any parting thoughts, Jason, for our viewers or listeners?
That's it. I mean, if you're looking for a superior sports drink, you're looking for something that's cleaner. You're sick of all the high sugar, the high chemicals, and feeling like garbage. Not feeling like you're really recovering right. Give give me a shout. Give me a shout, and we'll get some out to you. So never shy away from giving out a free bottle or two.
100%. Giving is, sharing is caring, and obviously we're all here about giving back. And Regain is definitely, I believe, this is the future in motion. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
really appreciate everything you do. Really appreciate having you on the show today, yeah, Jason. And hopefully we'll see you in Vegas soon, brother. I'd loved
All
it.
right, I'm shooting for 2022, man. Shooting for
Yeah,
2022. So I
2022.
gotta take the I gotta take the daughter to Disney that year too. So we'll see how that works out.
Disneyland or World? Which one?
Probably Disney World. I have family in Florida,
Yeah. Okay.
and my wife's got friends in Florida, so probably Disney. Yeah, Disney World. I had to think about it. So yeah, probably Disney World.
Yeah, I heard they built that new Nintendo World over there or something like that. Now it's like a Super Nintendo World. They have a whole exhibit.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh, I'm gonna have to check that out. My wife wants to see all the Harry Potter stuff, but I
yeah,
think that's at Universal.
that's at Universal. Yeah, Universal over here down. It's like 5 hours from me. So
Oh, okay, cool,
yeah. So
cool.
all right, Jason. Once again, thank you so much. If you listeners, for anyone else who wants to find out more about Regain Sports Drink on Instagram, just Google Regain Sports Drink and just give them a shout. Jason will be on the other line waiting for you guys' inquiry. So Jason, once again,
Absolutely.
thanks so much for joining the A1 podcast, brother. Have a good one.
All right, you too.